Hello, Brother Nanshi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as anonymous? I am a man who is from Nigeria. So, my brother, my story it goes on like this. It started when I was still in university. I had this other girl, like me and her, we had been dating for a very long time. So when I was dating this girl, and this girl then told me that she had found someone, this person that she had found was much more better than I was. So I didn't know what to do anymore because of the way that I used to love her. And I then started losing focus on my studies. I was no longer studying. And previously, when my relationship was still okay, I was someone who was really bright in school. So one day, then one of my lecturers, whom I could not quite understand, like there was something that was like weird about him, because this man, he came from a very rich family, but at the same time, even though he was coming from a rich family, the guy was just a lecturer. He was not earning a lot of money. So when he called me to his office, I was full of questions. Honestly, I wanted to know what he wanted from me. And he then sat with me down and he told me that amongst his students, and I was the one who was like a hopeful to him, he told me that already he had like spoken with some of his colleagues that were like abroad, and they were looking for someone whom they wanted to assist in terms of a sponsorship and stuff like that. So he said that unfortunately, because of the way that I was now like operating, the way that I was not focusing on my education, this was going to be very difficult for me. And he still wanted to offer me this chance of being helped by his colleagues from around the world, if only I was going to concentrate on my studies. And by concentrating on my studies, as well as now I had to attend their church that he was going to. So I agreed, because knowing that my parents were like poor, I saw that this was like a very good opportunity for me. So I then agreed to start attending his church, and to all the conditions that he had put for me, because they were like your normal conditions that a strict parent, as he was now my guardian, whereby he always wanted me to study 24/7. There was no more time for me to go to the clubs like I used to go to. I was always like studying my books each and every day, each and every day. This was like my everyday thing now. So after he had told me that I was supposed to concentrate on my education, within a couple of months, he then invited me to his house. When I went to his house, my brother, I then found out that this guy, he really had a very beautiful daughter. He really had a beautiful daughter. And the first time when I looked at his daughter, I was really amazed with the wealth as well as the beauty that I saw at his place. So I then started to fall in love with the daughter, but I was afraid, because here was the man who had given me a second chance after I had gotten a very bad heartache, like the heartache that I had felt after I had been broken down by my ex-girlfriend, when she told me that there was no more use for her dating me, because I was someone who didn't have any money at all. So, Brother Nanshi, with this opportunity that had been granted to me, I thought that it was much wiser for me to like focus on this thing that had been offered to me on a silver platter. So I used to teach the daughter as well. Then with time, then me and that girl, we started dating each other. And as we were like dating each other, I then got to know some of the secrets that were in their family. Because this girl, when I was dating her, my professor's daughter, she didn't want us to sleep together. And I always asked her, like, both of us, we are adults, and I asked her, are you still a virgin or what? Are you still keeping yourself like until you are married? And she was like, no, I'm no longer a virgin. I have slept with someone before, but I do not want to do it now with you. We are only going to do it if my dad is going to tell me that now it is the time for us to start doing it. So this didn't make sense at all to me, because I was like, how can my father-in-law tell me that this is the time for me to start sleeping with his daughter? So it was not something that I was used to. So I just said that maybe since they are very wealthy people, maybe this is the way that they operate. So I continued dating the girl. This girl, she would even come to the apartment where she was now renting for me, but she was renting this apartment for me I thought that at that time she was doing it in secret, but with time I then found out that even the dad knew about this apartment that she was now renting for me. So each and every time that she would come to the apartment, we would just go to bed together, just touch each other. We will do that thing like they call oral sex, but there was no penetration that was allowed at all. So with time, I grew tired. Like, yeah, I have a girlfriend. Of course, she is someone that is really wealthy, but what does it gives me, because I was not getting what any man wants in a relationship. I then started dating another girl. On the night that I was supposed to bring this girl to the apartment where I was staying, I went and I collected that girl at that other place that she was staying. Whilst we were about to get off the car in which we were traveling in, that was when I saw the father. The first thing that I recognized was his car. It was parked at the entrance of that apartment where his daughter was renting for me. And when we got out of the car, then that man then told me that this thing that I was doing to his daughter, it was something that he was not going to tolerate at all. So he just made it known to me that the thing that I was doing, it meant that me and him, we were not going to be in good books. So this shocked me a lot. Like, how did this man get to know that I had gone out to collect a girl whom I wanted to sleep with on that same day? So it just gave me a lot of like weird thoughts. So that thing of thinking that these people, I think with all the wealth that they have, maybe they're like your ritualist or something. But at a place where there is money, you keep on coming back, even when the girl was mistreating me. Sometimes I would actually say sorry to her, yet I was the one who was the right one, but she will be the one who will be in the wrong. But because she had the buying power, she will do whatever she wanted with me. So at the same time, she was denying me like having intercourse, saying that I had to wait for her until she was ready for us to have intercourse. By the time that me and her, the first night when she said that she was ready for us to have intercourse, Brother Nashi, there was something that happened that I never thought that it was even possible. This girl, when she removed her clothes as we were busy touching each other, I then realized that this girl, like, between her legs, there was nothing. So we stopped whatever that we were doing, because I said, look, because I had gone down on her, I wanted to kiss her between her legs, but when I was looking at between her legs, there was nothing at all. So this shocked me a lot. I then got up as I was sitting by the edge of the bed, and I was in shock. I thought that maybe it's me, there is something that is happening to me, like my own village people, they had gotten to know about this case of me dating someone who is really rich, so they were trying to destroy this destiny that I had managed to get hold of, knowing that I come from a very poor family. She also woke up, then she came and she sat right next to me. So I was like, what is going on? What is going on? Because there is nothing that is there between your legs. Then she then started crying. She cried so hard and she cried so bitterly. And as she was crying like that, she then told me that her father had actually gone out, and when the father went to this other shrine, he was made to perform a sacrifice, and in that sacrifice he was supposed to like kill his own son, and his father could not do this. That was when he thought that it was much of a better idea for him to sacrifice his daughter, meaning that the girl that I was dating as well as the sister, they all didn't have anything just between their legs. I said, so is this the way that you live your life? And so what happens when you want to go to the toilet? What happens? She told me that only at night, that is when the private parts will appear, and at night when it appears, then they will know that on that night the father is going to visit them in their rooms. So this is the life that the professor and his daughters were living. They were sleeping with each other using the juju, the rituals and everything, and that is part of the money that they had that was coming out of his daughter's private parts. I said, so what am I going to do with this information? I was just thinking this thing to myself. We went to bed, but still I was really scared. Money can make you do some things that on a normal day you will never do such kind of a thing. But I ended up sharing the same bed with her. We were even hugging each other as she was fast asleep. she then started telling me that even for her, like, her life was at risk because her father had actually told her that she was not going to be able to get married to anyone because she was going to die at a very young age because of the rituals that he kept on doing. She even told me that in that same year she was going to die. You know, when she told me that in that same year she was going to die, that thing, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I started crying as well. The next morning, I then drove her back to her parents' house because I was driving her car at that time. After I had driven her to the car, after I had driven her back to her parents' house, the father then told me that I was supposed to get also inside the house because we had some businesses that we had to discuss. In my mind, I was just like really scared, knowing that the father, he was just a ritualist, and I was like scared of him now. And he said, "Do not be afraid because you are my son-in-law." So we went inside and we sat down. It was him, his wife, as well as his son and my girlfriend, and then the elder sister, because they were just staying together. Even now, they're still staying together. The sister is still alive. As for that boy, he seems like someone who is like mentally ill or something, but they are just staying together because of the rituals that they did, and also the rituals that they made me to perform as well. Whilst we were sitting like that, then the father told me that he wanted me to get married to his daughter as soon as possible. It was money, my brother, even though I had been told that this money, it was just ritual money, but I just said, anyway, let me just do it. I then took that decision whereby I told myself that let me become a ritualist. If I tell this man that I do not love his daughter because he used his daughter for a ritual sacrifice, then he's going to kick me out of his house. He's going to take back the car that I was driving. He's going to kick me out of the apartment which his daughter was paying the rent for me. So I could not manage to lose this girl. So we continued dating, but the tricky part about it is like when we were dating each other, the way that now we were dating each other, I was not allowed like to visit her. I was not allowed to see her. I was then given some money. After I had been given some money, at that time I was staying in Lagos. Then they told me that I had to go and stay in Abuja, and I was not supposed to return back. So they gave me, it was more like a suitcase that was filled with US dollars. When I arrived already, I met some people. It seems like it is a big network of these people that are ritualists. When I arrived, I was then taken to another apartment, which I then started staying, and I was told that I was not supposed to use the money that had been given to me by my father-in-law. And this money, it was like a suitcase full of US dollars. They told me that I was only going to use the money after the people that I was staying with had told me to start using the money. I stayed with those people. This was like for 3 more months. Whilst I was staying with them, one day we were just having supper. Then the other guy that I was with, he just said that, "Did you hear that your wife is really sick? She is in hospital right now." I said, "Oh, why didn't my father-in-law tell me about this?" And that guy then said that immediately we are supposed to make a plan so that you can go and see her. So I said, "But they told me that I was not supposed to return back to Lagos. So what am I supposed to do now?" And they say that, "No, the way that you are going to be seeing her, there is like a prayer that they were going to do, and in that prayer I was going to be able to see her in that hospital that she was sleeping in." So I didn't believe in those things whereby God does exist. There is someone, there is the devil, there is God. I never believed in any of that. Even at that time when that girl was telling me about the father's rituals, I thought that maybe it's some kind of magic or anything. And all that I cared about was like the money. So we then locked ourselves in another room. It was the whole family, and we started praying. And the way that we were praying, it was like a normal prayer. We were actually praying to God. Whilst we were praying, then they started telling me that I was supposed to start talking in tongues, speaking in tongues. The father was like the one who was telling me to speak in tongues. Speak whatever comes to your mind. So I was just speaking and speaking. Then I started screaming in tongues, and I fell to the ground and I collapsed. The next thing that happened is when I woke up, I found myself that I was standing right next to my father-in-law, but we were not in a hospital. We were actually at a place where there was a big gathering. When I looked at myself, I saw that I was wearing a very beautiful suit. I asked my father-in-law, what was I doing here at this ceremony? And he told me that, son, this is your own ceremony. Don't you know that you are about to get married to my daughter? I said, your daughter? But your daughter is in the hospital. He then said that, turn around. So my brother, I then turned around, and when I turned around, I saw that that girl that I was dating, she was just there, and she was walking towards me. She was even holding some flowers. She was in a wedding gown. By the time that she came to the place where I was standing with my father-in-law, she then disappeared, and I then woke up from the place where I was in it. And when I woke up, those guys, they were still like trying to pray, and I could not pray anymore because I was feeling that I was really exhausted. And then they said that, okay, let us finish these prayers. They all laid their hands on me, and I then found strength again. Then we returned back to the living room. So my brother, from that day onwards, those guys, then they told me that I had now the authority to start using the money. But this money, the way that I was supposed to be using it is like buying luxurious houses and things that are really expensive, because it was quite a huge sum amount of money. So I started buying a lot of stuff, and I even opened up my own small company whereby I manage properties, and that is the company that I just use as a front. But the rest of the money, it is the money that I got from my father-in-law. So what happens to me, Brother Nash, is that I am not allowed even to sleep with anyone. I am not allowed even to please myself. And I am not allowed, even when I look at a woman and I say that this woman, she is like really beautiful and I want it. I am not supposed to do that, because already I am married off to the spirit of my father-in-law. Sometimes I sit down, and when I sit down, I ask myself, but this thing that I did, was it worth it? And sometimes when I think about my life from where I come from back in the village and my poor family, I just feel that maybe the money that I got, it is worth it. So when I started listening to your confessions and other people that do come and confess on your channel, I just thought of coming to your channel, since I do not have anyone that I can share my own experiences with. So as I just thought that it is a wise decision for me to come on your platform and share my own confessions with you. So that is my own story, my brother. In short, I was given a huge amount of money by my father-in-law, so that at the time of the passing away of his daughter, then they can transfer the spirit, a spirit, so that a spirit can become my wife. I am currently married to a woman who passed away a very long time ago.